Why do people fall in love with you? It's a question most of us ask ourselves at some point, not out of vanity, but out of deep curiosity. What is it about you that draws others so powerfully, so irresistibly? Is it your looks, your charm, your intelligence? Or is it something far more mysterious and hidden? The truth, according to Carl Jung, is that love is never random. It doesn't simply happen because of surface-level traits. Rather, love is the result of unconscious forces pulling two people together for reasons they often don't even understand. When someone falls for you, it may feel like magic, but it's not coincidence. Beneath that initial spark is an entire landscape of invisible mechanisms at play, deep emotional undercurrents shaped by personal wounds, longings, and forgotten fragments of the self. The person who falls in love with you may not be fully conscious of why they are so drawn to you, but their inner world recognizes something significant in your presence, something that mirrors or complements their own psyche. Jung believed that romantic attraction was deeply influenced by what he called projection. When we meet someone, we don't just see them, we project onto them parts of ourselves, especially the parts we've denied, lost, or never fully developed. We place onto others our own inner narratives, hopes, fears, and dreams, often without realizing it. Imagine a person who has never allowed themselves to express vulnerability. Maybe they were raised to always be strong, to hide emotion, to keep control. Then, they meet someone who radiates softness, empathy, and emotional openness. Suddenly, they are captivated. This attraction isn't just about admiration, it's about longing. That emotionally open person represents a missing part of them, a quality they need in order to feel whole. Falling in love, in this case, becomes an unconscious attempt at healing, a way for the psyche to reclaim what was once repressed. And this goes both ways. Others may fall in love with you not because of who you are on the surface, but because you reflect something essential that they lack. Maybe you embody a sense of adventure in someone who's lived a life of caution. Maybe you carry a quiet inner strength that comforts someone who has always felt lost. Maybe your confidence awakens a part of them that has long been dormant. You become, without even trying, a mirror of their forgotten self. A symbol. A key. A doorway to their own inner potential. That's the first reason people fall in love with you. You represent something they have not yet found within themselves. You are the embodiment of something they are missing, craving, or silently searching for. It's not about opposites attracting, it's about opposites revealing what's incomplete. A rigid, overly analytical person might feel a mysterious pull toward someone more spontaneous and emotionally fluid. An introvert might feel magnetized by someone outgoing and expressive. The attraction isn't logical because it isn't driven by logic, it's driven by the deep needs of the soul. But there's a second, even more powerful reason. Sometimes, people fall in love with you not because you reflect something they lack, but because you reflect something they once were. You awaken a forgotten version of them. You stir memories of how they used to feel before the world made them forget. You remind them of a time when they were freer, more hopeful, more connected to themselves. Your presence doesn't just represent a missing piece, it activates a sleeping one. You bring something back to life in them that they didn't even realize had died. That's why some people look at you and say things like, "You feel familiar," or "You bring me peace," or even, "You make me feel like myself again." What they're really saying is, "You remind me of a part of me I lost." You become their emotional anchor, not because you complete them, but because you reconnect them with their own essence. And the deeper their disconnection from themselves, the more intense their bond with you feels. Of course, this can be dangerous, too. Because love built on unconscious projection can lead to illusion. When someone is only in love with the image they've projected onto you, they may never truly see you. They see the version of you that serves their unconscious need, their psychological wound, their unfulfilled story. And when the reality of who you are begins to show up, flawed, complex, imperfect, they may feel disoriented or even betrayed. The projection collapses, and with it, the illusion. This is why it's so important, in love, to become aware of what's really happening beneath the surface. When someone is magnetically pulled toward you, it's rarely just because of your appearance or your personality. It's because you awaken something ancient and emotional within them, either something they've lost or something they never knew they needed. And so, the next time someone falls in love with you, don't immediately assume it's about what you say or how you look. It might be that you've touched something in them they didn't even know was there. You might be the mirror they didn't know they needed, or the echo of a voice they thought they had forgotten. Love, as Jung taught us, is never just about two people. It's about two inner worlds colliding, blending, projecting, and, if we're lucky, healing. That is the real reason people fall in love with you. It's not only because of who you are, but because of what your presence awakens in the hidden places of their soul. Why do people truly fall in love with you? It's a question that might seem simple at first glance, often attributed to charm, appearance, personality, or timing. But if we look closer, much deeper, there's something far more intricate at play. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed love isn't just about attraction or chemistry. It's about unconscious forces, deeply embedded within our psyche, forces we often don't even realize are guiding our desires. People aren't falling in love with who you are on the surface, they're drawn to what you symbolize to them, often without even knowing it. Attraction, according to Jung, is rarely random. What feels like a spontaneous emotional spark is often the product of years of psychological conditioning, unmet emotional needs, suppressed traits, and internal longings. We carry with us emotional blueprints, images formed by our upbringing, personal experiences, and cultural archetypes. These images live in our unconscious minds, quietly influencing the people we feel pulled toward. And sometimes, when someone walks into our life who embodies a quality we've suppressed or longed for, it doesn't just feel like admiration, it feels like fate. But this intense draw isn't always about love in its truest form. It's often about projection. When someone falls in love with you because you seem bold, free, expressive, or calm, qualities they themselves haven't embraced, it's not always a conscious decision. It's their unconscious responding to you as if you are a mirror reflecting back something vital they've been missing. You unknowingly become a symbol of a part of themselves they either lost, denied, or never fully developed. They feel magnetically attracted to you because you fill an emotional or psychological gap. But this admiration can quickly spiral into emotional dependence if they don't understand that what they admire in you is actually something they have the potential to develop within themselves. Instead of appreciating you for who you are, they may begin to cling to you for what they believe you represent. Their love becomes a need, a desire to possess or be close to something they feel they lack. It's no longer about partnership or connection. It becomes about emotional survival. But here's the problem. The moment your humanity begins to show, the moment you contradict their idealized image, make a mistake, or simply act in a way they didn't expect, the illusion begins to crack. What was once seen as beautiful and perfect now seems flawed and complicated. The love, once intoxicating and all-consuming, begins to fade. Disappointment replaces admiration, confusion replaces certainty. The emotional high they felt wasn't rooted in who you really are, but in what they needed you to be. And when that imagined version of you no longer holds up, the connection breaks. Jung didn't stop at projection, he went deeper, into what he called the anima and animus, inner psychological images of the opposite gender that we all carry. For Jung, every man holds within him an image of the ideal woman, his anima. And every woman holds the image of the ideal man, her animus. These images are not fantasies we consciously create, they are shaped by childhood relationships, particularly with parental figures, and influenced by cultural and collective symbols over time. These images settle deep in the psyche, and they wait. One day, we meet someone who, by coincidence or fate, seems to match that inner image almost perfectly. We feel an overwhelming pull, as if we've met them before, even if it's our first conversation. It feels otherworldly, like destiny or a soul connection. But in truth, it's not the person themselves that evokes this reaction. It's that they awaken something within us. They activate an inner pattern, a psychological structure that has long been part of us. They stir emotions not because of who they are, but because of what they symbolize in our inner world. This is why certain connections feel so intense and irrational. It's not about the actual person, it's about the symbol they've become. They match an unconscious blueprint we've carried for years, and because of that, we assign deep meaning to their presence. But again, this can become dangerous. Because when someone sees you through the lens of their anima or animus, they're not truly seeing you. They're seeing an idealized version, a fantasy shaped by childhood, stories, and inner longing. As time passes and reality begins to show itself, as your flaws, vulnerabilities, and true personality come forward, the fantasy starts to dissolve. You may begin to feel misunderstood or pressured to live up to an ideal that was never yours to begin with. The person who once adored you may now feel distant, disillusioned, or confused. The love, which once felt sacred and pure, now feels complicated, unstable, or even painful. That's because it was never fully grounded in mutual reality, it was built on a projection, an unconscious script trying to express itself through you. And no one can sustain a fantasy forever. Yet Jung didn't see this as failure. In fact, he believed this painful process was part of our journey. Love, even in its most chaotic forms, can serve as a powerful catalyst for growth. It shows us what we're missing, what we're searching for, and what we must develop within ourselves. Even when love falls apart, it often leaves behind insights, truths we couldn't have accessed any other way. So, if someone falls in love with you deeply and suddenly, if they feel as though you've completed them or that you are their missing piece, it's worth understanding that what they feel might not entirely be about you. It may be about something within them, something they've projected outward, something their soul is trying to reclaim. Love is not just a feeling. It's a mirror. It reflects who we are, what we lack, and who we are becoming. And when seen through Jung's eyes, love isn't just a connection between two people, it's a journey through the architecture of the soul. Love, at its core, is not merely an emotion, it is a process of transformation. Every person we fall for becomes a mirror, showing us something essential about ourselves. Sometimes that mirror reflects a part of us we've long buried, a potential we've ignored, a wound we've hidden, a truth we've denied. Other times, it reveals a longing we can barely name, a part of our soul reaching for expression. The people who enter our lives and stir powerful emotions within us are never truly random. They serve a deep psychological purpose. They are the carriers of lessons, the triggers of awakening, and often the unexpected messengers of change. When someone falls in love with you, they may believe they are captivated by your beauty, your presence, or your personality. And to a degree, they are. But beneath that surface lies something even more powerful. They are not just seeing you, they are feeling the echo of something dormant within themselves begin to awaken. You become more than a person to them, you become a symbol, a living invitation for growth. And the same happens in reverse. The people you fall for, especially those who shake you to your core, who unravel your certainty, who open and sometimes break your heart, they are not incidental. They are the soul's chosen teachers, here to accelerate your evolution. Some relationships ignite your hidden talents. Others challenge the lies you believed about yourself. Some will push you into your darkest shadows, while others will drag your light into the open. But all of them, whether joyful, painful, lasting, or fleeting, serve the same purpose, to move you toward wholeness. You might think you're choosing your lovers based on shared interests or emotional chemistry. But often it's your unconscious mind doing the choosing, drawing you toward those who reflect the very parts of yourself you most need to see. This isn't romantic fate, it's psychological precision. These are encounters with purpose, whether or not they make sense at the time. And sometimes these people don't stay. Not every connection is meant to endure. Some come into your life only to disrupt. To shatter the patterns you've been trapped in. To wake you up. These encounters, however brief or heartbreaking, are not mistakes. Jung would call them synchronistic events. Not accidents, but meaningful coincidences orchestrated by the psyche itself. When a person arrives in your life at exactly the moment you are ready to confront a truth, to heal a wound, or to evolve beyond who you were yesterday, it is not mere chance. It is a reflection of your inner world being ready for transformation. These moments can leave scars, yes. But they also leave seeds, of insight, of strength, of renewal. So why do people fall in love with you? It's not just because of who you are on the outside. It's because of what you awaken on the inside. You may reflect a quality they've lost, or a part of themselves they desperately need to reclaim. You might be the embodiment of their deepest yearning or the answer to an inner hunger they didn't even know they carried. And the same applies to you. You fall in love not just with people, but with what they symbolize. They may appear to be flesh and blood, but on some deeper level, they are also archetypes, carriers of psychological blueprints your soul has been holding for years. But if you're unaware of these dynamics, you risk falling into the same traps again and again. Chasing illusions. Mistaking projection for love. Believing that you're unlucky in relationships, when in truth, you're being given the same lesson until you're finally ready to learn it. Jung would say that awareness is the turning point. When you recognize your projections, understand your inner patterns, and confront the emotional scripts you've been replaying, you stop expecting others to complete you. Instead, you begin to complete yourself. And from that place of inner wholeness, love becomes something entirely different. It's no longer a desperate search for validation. It becomes a sacred exchange between two evolving souls. The most meaningful love doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence. From seeing someone clearly and being seen in return. From choosing not to escape into fantasy, but to stay grounded in truth. Real love is not about finding someone who saves you from yourself. It's about finding someone who reflects who you're becoming. Who supports your growth. Who doesn't stand in front of your light, but beside you as you both shine. In the end, the love we feel for others always leads us back to ourselves. The people who move us, stir us, unravel and rebuild us, they are the ones who help us uncover parts of ourselves we might never have touched alone. We fall in love not just to be with someone else, but to become someone more. So the next time you feel that deep pull, that mysterious attraction, ask yourself, what part of me is waking up right now? What message is this connection trying to deliver? Because that is where love becomes not just a feeling, but a force of transformation. And if this message resonates with you, if it helps you see your own journey of love through a new lens, share your thoughts. Your story might be the mirror someone else needs right now.